right here on the tracks.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that people would circulate wildly, and they're just kind of wandering across the street. You have these huge drays led by teamsters with 4, sometimes 8 horses hauling along.
And it seems, watching the film, that there were absolutely no traffic rules.
It seems like it. Sort of people, it was optional to stay to the right. But, you know, it seemed to be honored in the breach. People will tell you today that Market Street is still that way.
Looking back a century from the same spot on the same street is an eerie sight. Teddy Roosevelt was president then. Life expectancy was 47 years for men, 50 for women, most of whom still couldn't vote. And no one, man, woman, or child, went out without a hat. The last few blocks of Market Street today, banks and brokers, it's Wall Street West. A century ago, the wholesale district offering coffee, tea, and spices, a time when a decent salary was $400 a year, a time reborn on film.
It's left us an astonishing record, the likes of which we rarely see. Quality.
Film archivist and historian Rick Pralinger owns the clearest of the 3 surviving copies of the film.
This is over 100 years old, but the image quality is just absolutely excellent.
How fragile is this?
Extremely.
This is a digitally restored, high-definition copy seen here for the first time on television. What is it that moves us so when we see something like this?
It's uncanny. First off, to see something that's so old, and almost an alternate universe, really. I love when the little kid is in the carriage ahead of the streetcar and opens up that curtain and peeks out. And then at the very, very end, the streetcar turns around and you have a glimpse of newsboys looking at the camera and waving just for a few frames. It dazzles audiences. People applaud this film.
It ends here, at the ferry building on San Francisco Bay. The movie is a small gem about a much larger gem, this magnificent city on the hills. But it's more even than that. It's a mystery. A mystery research this summer confirmed that. Keane had stripped away the haze of history to show us the real story behind the trip through Market Street. San Francisco closing in on its rendezvous with catastrophe. The odds are some of the people you see had just days to live. When you look at that film, all you can think of is what was about to happen.
It takes on a power that is almost inconceivable, because you can look at the buildings and know with certainty that almost all disappeared. You can look at the people on the street and wonder who survived. You're watching a shade fall over an era.
This is Market Street.
That's the beauty of film. It captures something that nobody today is seeing anymore. It makes a connection. Young and old, they still react with amazement to it.
And 30 miles across San Francisco Bay, the ferry building still welcomes travelers. And Market Street, a century later, rolls on and on.